What's up, everybody? This is Mario, and I'm back with another episode today. And man, I'm not going to lie, I am pretty tired. It's been a super long day because, as I mentioned in the previous episode, I am embarking on a 19 and a half hour drive from where we live in Iowa to Florida. So I'm doing it with Emily and our dog and our 7-month-old daughter, Ellie. And it has been a super long day. We're making really good progress, and we actually just got to our hotel, and we're just kind of chilling. We've been driving for about 12 hours today, but I set this goal. I want to stick with it, and I want to push through. And it has been kind of fun so far with the road trip. And even Ellie, she's 7 months old, but she is already showing some amazing endurance skills, just because being in a car for 12 hours is rough. And she's 7 months old, but she was a champ. She was laughing, she was giggling, she was being really good. But anyways, I've been thinking a lot about the Endure framework that I've been talking about. And this, as a reminder, is kind of my 6-step framework for completing any endurance event and becoming the best version of yourself in the process. And so far, we've talked about the first kind of 4 letters. E stands for envision future success. That's where you're getting clarity. You're visualizing what that would, feel like and be like to accomplish your goals. Then it goes to N, which is navigate your path. That's where you're starting to develop the plans for it. You're committing to achieving your goals. You're seeking out people who can help you along the way. Then the next step is D, for develop consistent habits. With endurance training, it's all about just consistently getting your workouts in day after day after day, week after week, month after month. That's how you develop endurance. And so it's all about developing the right habits of exercise, sleep for recovery, and meditation, which is that exercise for your brain. Then the U is for understanding your why, because as you're taking steps and you're taking action, there are going to be obstacles. There are going to be days when you don't feel like working out. There are going to be days where you don't feel like writing if you're a writer. There are going to be days where you don't feel like podcasting if you're creating a podcast. But in those moments, you need to understand, why are you trying to do it, so that can be your motivation on those days. And today I want to continue with the next step in the framework, and that is the letter R. And before I describe what that is and what that lesson is, I just kind of want to tell you a story, and I want to tell you my background. So in 2017, I signed up for a full Ironman in my hometown of Madison, Wisconsin. So I had already completed a few sprint triathlons, an Olympic triathlon, and 1 half Ironman race. And I signed up for that full Ironman because, like many of you, I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. That was like such a big, kind of scary goal that I felt like if I could train for that and my body could tolerate it and I could complete that, then if I could complete that Ironman at, that age, then I feel like I could do anything that I set my mind to. So it was just this big challenge that I had. And even before I started training for it, I listed out all of the reasons why I wanted to do an Ironman. And I listed out all of the people that I was kind of doing it for and all of the people that would benefit from it. And I don't really know why I did that. It just kind of felt like a natural way to get started with such a big goal. But it was going to be a critical part of my success. So the race was set for September 10th, 2017. And so 30 weeks before my race, and armed kind of with a training plan from a book that I had bought, I started training. And wow, the training for an Ironman, especially your first Ironman, is insane. It is so grueling. And I had to overcome all different types of obstacles. Like at the beginning, I was training in some cold weather, in the Midwest, waking up super early to go for bike rides. I had to wake up at like 5 a.m. to get my workouts in before I would go to work. I ended up getting eye infections from swimming too much with my contacts in. And then also I ended up with, it was my first time really running longer distances like that. So I overtrained and I ramped up too quickly, and I ended up developing IT man syndrome, which was excruciatingly painful, and it forced me to stop running for 3 to 4 weeks in the middle of my training. And it kind of made me think, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if my body can kind of tolerate it. But the obstacles weren't just physical either. There were a lot of mental obstacles, because one of the biggest ones was I was training maybe 10 to 15, sometimes 20 hours a week. And that meant I was spending a lot of time away from Emily, who was my fiance at the time. Going for bike rides for 6 to 7 hours on Saturdays meant that, I wasn't able to spend as much time with her, and it kind of made me feel guilty, and it made me feel selfish. And I did have to miss out on some family events and events that I would go with Emily and hang out with friends, those types of things, because I had to train. But I kept going because I knew why I wanted to do it, kind of who I was doing it for, and I wanted that feeling of crossing the finish line and knowing that I could do it. And kind of luckily for me, like I wasn't alone, because Emily was there with me through everything. When I would get back for long training rides, she would have a warm breakfast kind of ready for me. She actively participated in my training. So she would kayak with me during my open water swims. She would bike next to me during long runs on the weekends, and just really kind of be there to encourage me. And so then when race day kind of arrived, like if you can imagine, you've been training for something for 30 weeks, for over 6 or 7 months. And then race day arrives, and it's real. And I was really nervous. But I started the swim, and I came out of the swim, and I just felt amazing. I literally went like beast mode. And I erupted when I came out of the water, and I just loved that feeling. Then I got to the bike, and it's a 112-mile bike. And the bike course in Madison is grueling. There's all of these hills and tons of elevation and really steep climbs. And then ultimately got through the bike, get through the run, hit that dreaded wall at mile 15, 16, 17, just like kind of forced to like walk and really slowly jog. But I kept pushing again because I wanted that feeling. And then after 12 hours and 10 minutes of exercise and kind of running down like the red carpet and hearing my family just screaming and cheering my name, and then crossing the finish line and hearing that sound of Mario Minner, you are an Ironman, was the most amazing feeling that I had felt in a long time. And I just really still get excited when I think about that feeling and that sound. And I crossed the finish line and I felt amazing. And it was kind of weird because all it was a moment. And after my family was there and they had kind of given me that congratulations, I got my stuff together. I drove home with my parents and with Emily, took a warm shower, got a nice home cooked meal, and then basically like an hour or an hour and a half after the race, my mind started to shift to the week that was coming up ahead and work and, the everyday kind of Sunday night routine that just started to kick in. And it was kind of interesting for me because, I started to ask these questions of, okay, what kind of meetings do I have tomorrow? What do I need to get done this week? Like what do I need to do next? And it was kind of this surreal moment because I had trained for really years for the Ironman and really focused that training for 6 to 7 months, and then completed the event in 12 hours and 10 minutes and had this amazing feeling when I crossed the finish line. But within an hour, it was almost like I just moved on to the next thing. And it kind of made me think, like, did I really train all of these months and these years just for this race? And that's where I kind of started to have this epiphany and learn this lesson, which is, the step 5 in the Endure framework, which is, it's not about the race. It's all about the person you become along the way. And so that's what step 5 is. It's really to remember it's not about the race. Remember it's all about the person that you become along the way. And I've learned that lesson through that experience of training for the Ironman, and it's held true for every other endurance event that I've trained for. And it's kind of that, and like what I mean by remember it's about the person you become along the way is, through the training, I had become the type of person that would overcome any obstacle that stood in the way of my dreams. When I dealt with the IT band syndrome, that I wasn't allowed or really physically able to run because I would have too much pain in my knee, I started aqua jogging. So I would literally put on a belt that would keep me afloat, and I would jog in the pool, in the water, because that's what I read online of how you can overcome that and still get some cardio in. And I did physical therapy, and I did all of the stretches and the exercises, and I got through it. And when it came to like the eye infections that were caused by swimming in my contacts, I went to the eye doctor. I got his recommendation. He told me to stop swimming for 2 to 3 weeks. But basically what I did is I just took out my contacts and I swam without my contacts in. So, these obstacles just kept showing up, and I just kept working through them and finding solutions. And that is, to me, is one of the best things that you gain from competing in these endurance events. And, in addition to overcoming those obstacles, I really started to develop kind of the right habits that carried over into my professional life. Because with Ironman training, it takes 10 to 15 hours or more a week of your time. So your time is so sacred and you need to manage it extremely well. So I was more focused at work. I knew I had a list at the beginning of the week of what does success look like for this week? What do I need to get done by the end of Monday? What do I need to get done by the end of Tuesday so I can, complete my workouts? And it kind of just made me realize that it's not really about the race, even though that's what gets us, going and gets us to take that momentum and take those initial steps. It's all about the person that you become along the way. And that's really where the term Endurify comes into play. Because Endurify is a word that I created by combining endurance and the suffix ify. Because my favorite definition of endurance comes from dictionary.com, which says that endurance is the ability or strength to continue or last despite fatigue, stress, or other adverse conditions. And then the ending ify is a suffix which means to make, or to become, or be made. So when I say that the real benefit of competing in endurance events is the person you become along the way, what I mean by that is that in competing in these events, you become the type of person who develops the strength to continue or last despite fatigue, stress, or anything else that gets in the way of your dreams and goals. And that's really what Endurify is all about. And that's really what step 5 in the Endure framework is all about. It's all about remember, it's not about the race. It's all about the person that you become along the way. So that's where I want to kind of try and bring it back to you now with whatever you're doing. Are you focused more on the achievement, the goal, and the result of what you're trying to accomplish? Or are you focused on who you're becoming along the way? I don't even know what your goals are yet, but I can virtually guarantee that the most important thing that is happening for you is the transformation that you're going through and the person you're becoming along the way. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that served you, and I kind of want to leave you with this. The R in the Endure framework stands for remember. It's all about the person you become along the way, and that's what I want you to remember today. It's just all about the person that you're becoming along the way. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that was helpful. So we'll see you later, everybody.